The police.
Thank you, honorable members. Before I call on the clerk, I would just want to use clause 14 of the standing orders 2019 dealing with the order of business, and just to change the order so that we will allow the honorable minister to give his statement first, and then we'll proceed with the others. And the relevant section says that the order of business as set out in paragraph 2 may be varied by the speaker in case of emergency or with the agreement of the Assembly Business Committee. So I consider this as an emergency to allow the honorable minister to read his statement. So after that, we will come to honorable.
Oral ministerial statement on the implementation and monitoring of the annual budget by the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think I just want to explain to the National Assembly that we had some figures for January and February, but because of the migration to EPICO 10, technology-wise, we are not very comfortable with the figures to come and present it to the National Assembly. So we are respectfully requesting for a deferment up to the next session so that we'll be more comfortable with the figures. We don't want to give any figure that is not actual. And it's only the first quarter, January, February, so we are respectfully asking for a deferment. Meanwhile, with your permission, Honorable Speaker, this morning, over the weekend, we've worked hard because we know Gambians are also waiting to hear from the ministry the economic impact assessment. We did an analysis, preliminary analysis of the coronavirus. So with your permission, I would like to share it with the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, our preliminary assessment of the impact of the COVID-19 suggests that the economic growth in 2020 will be 3% points lower than the initial estimate of 6.3% at the beginning of the year. In terms of revenue performance, it is estimated that close to 1 billion will be lost in revenue for the year, equivalent to 1 month of GRA revenue collection in 2020, if the virus remains uncontained in the next 3 months. The decline in economic growth is estimated to emanate from trade, remittance, construction, hotels, restaurants. In addition, mild effects are anticipated in the manufacturing sector as supply side constrained through the lower supply of production inputs, and other supplies will run low for most factory floors. As global supplies remain constrained due to close down of factories in China, Europe, and Middle East, international trade, taxes, and domestic supply for basic commodities would also experience a short-term adverse shock, thus posing the risk of price hike. Concerning the overall fiscal balance, as close to a month of national revenue collection is projected to be lost, and the budget deficit is expected to widen from 1.5 percentage point of GDP as per the approved 2020 budget to 2.1% of GDP with the impact of COVID-19. On the net domestic borrowing, NDP, in the absence of stricter expenditure control and rationalization, the NDP will expand from 1.9 percentage point of GDP to 2.5% of the GDP. As a result, This will reduce the gains and the consolidation of efforts in creating space needed for private sector borrowing to spur growth. Overall, the economic impact of COVID-19 on the Gambian economy is estimated to result in a budget deficit, in a budget financing gap of $2.5 billion. This, coupled with the estimated deterioration in the current account balance, potentially leading to a decline in the international reserve cover, could result to exchange rate depreciation and build up in the inflationary pressures. Finally, in order to mitigate these effects, stricter expenditure control and planning will provide a suitable mechanism to lessen the impact to ensure that sound economic gains registered in the past 2 years are not equally lost due to COVID-19. That's my statement, Honorable Speaker.
We'll expect that this will be made available for everybody to have a copy. And it's being printed. Well, I didn't know. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. But I would just wish to draw the attention of honorable members to Standing Order Clause 48.6, that after a statement has been delivered by the Honorable Minister responsible for the relevant sector or any sector, I will allow some few questions on the statement, but to last not more than 1 hour. Our 48.6. So honorable members will have an opportunity to ask questions. On the statement, questions will be on the statement, not to last more than 1 hour. Honorable Member for Banjul South, a question on the statement, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for this brief statement. Even though brief, it is timely. Can the Honorable Speaker request the Honorable Minister to appear in this August Assembly with the Honorable Minister of Health to brief us about the coronavirus and the way forward for this government, because this is an international crisis, it is a global crisis, and we've not seen the government do anything about it. We would want the Honorable Minister today, if possible, treat it as a matter of urgency, to appear with the Minister of Health in the afternoon to brief us for the way forward and tell us what this government is doing in this crisis. Thank you.
I think his statement was relating to his responsibility as Minister of Finance. We all know that this is an emergency, it's very urgent, it needs to be treated as such, and we will also appreciate that the Minister of Health is responsible for the sector, but he has not indicated. So if the if the Assembly wishes the Minister of State Health to come over, we can request for him to come in the afternoon together with the Honorable Minister, and then we will adjourn then the question and answer. Please, can you allow me? We will adjourn the question and answer session on the Minister's statement and allow the Honorable Minister of Health to give his statement, and then we continue with the question and answer. If that is agreeable, do we say those in favor of the proposal? Sorry. No. Sorry.
Just came from South Africa.
No, I think we should understand that this is urgent. He is suggesting that we defer it till tomorrow. But I'm saying that I think it is very urgent. We still have time. It's just 11 o'clock. We can inform the Honorable Minister of Health, considering that maybe he may have other...
But you know the Assembly also needs some factual statement.
Yes, but no. Okay. No, they have been working on this. I know they have been working on this. They have been working on this since last week. I think it will be in order. Let us call for the Honorable Minister to come and give us an update.
We have a committee on health.
Have to take a decision, and I think time is of the essence. So please, can we request for the Honorable Minister of Health to come to this National Assembly at 2 o'clock? No, you should have come earlier than now. Honorable Minister, no, with all due respect. No, he knows what I'm saying. Honorable, no, but what you have done, I will be hearing it. You cannot force me to hear you. No. So there are others who had earlier on raised their tags. Even though you are the health chair, I would have expected, or I was expecting, that at least with all the work that you have done, which we all appreciate, you should have at least briefed the office a little bit so that we'll be on top of issues we will know. But honorable member, with all due respect, we see it like every other person on TV, and we applaud your efforts, we appreciate it. But that notwithstanding, there are also administrative procedures to be followed in terms of briefing us. I'm not talking about briefing the assembly. Briefing the assembly is for everybody. So I will allow you, but not now. We'll take the observations and then we'll take the briefing from you. Yes, honorable member for Woolley S. You will brief us, but let us take the observations.
But already, there is already motion on the floor, and that motion should be allowed to go. There's a motion on the floor. We can't just kill it like that. We continue with this motion. Yes, you should.
Point of observation, please. Thank you very much.
Point of order, please.
But I have a point of order. I have a point of order on the procedure. It's point of procedure. Because if you go by our standing orders, Honorable Speaker, after oral minister's statements, I have not seen anywhere on our standing orders that allows for questioning. I have not seen that. And besides, with the oral ministerial
point of order.
Yes, I'm coming. Yes, but it's also allowed. We are also told that we need to have the statement 30 minutes before those statements are made. Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Point of order.
We have to understand that we are dealing with an emergency. We have to appreciate that this is an emergency. Order. So please, honorable members, can we move ahead with the question?
Point of order.
Point of order at the same time. Look, let us proceed with what we have on our rules.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, can you allow me to make my statement, Honorable? Please. Some other honorable members had earlier on raised their tags on a point of order. So it's only fair that I also allow them to raise their point of order. There was was it Nyamina East?
Honorable Speaker, I think there is already a motion moved before the House that is moved by you, and it is a proposal. Excuse me, Honorable Speaker, and just to qualify that proposal, I think here the subject at hand, we can apply clause 45 of the standing orders, where we can request the Honorable Minister for Health to, yes, clause 45 is saying, a question for urgent oral answers may be taken if, in the opinion of the Speaker, it is of an urgent nature and relates to a matter of public importance. The question may only be asked on a sitting day. And I think the issue at hand, it is a public interest. There is need for us to apply this clause of the standing orders in order to summon the Minister of Health in collaboration with the Minister of Finance to come and answer these issues at hand. Thank you.
The standing orders. I'm saying, leave no lacuna on this matter. Standing Order 48, paragraph 4, states very clearly that the Vice President or Minister making the oral statement shall provide an electronic copy and sufficient written copies of the statement to be delivered to the clerk for distribution to the members. Notice of a statement shall be given to the Speaker no later than 9:30 a.m. on the working day before the day, on the case for urgency 3 hours before it is due to be made, and the Speaker shall communicate such information to members as soon as practicable. And there your issue comes, that after a statement has been delivered in the Assembly, a period of questions on the statement, which shall last no more than 1 hour, may be ensured. That's what you had said. That is what is before us. How can we depart from this? Anybody who wants to come is after we have disposed of this, that we come to any other matter.
I always say in my communications, let us read our standing orders and the Constitution. Of course, I appreciate the fact that this is a matter of urgency, but in as much as it is urgent, we still need to follow laid down procedures, period. So let us take the questions. Let us
requested for deferment of the oral statement on the implementation and monitoring of the annual budget, but no specific time for him to be comfortable to present the oral report, but no specific time has been given. And I would like to ask, can the Honorable Minister comfortably present the oral statement during the course of this session, preferably in April, so that if so, since it is quarterly, the month of March can be included in that, because I believe March will be part of the quarterly presentation.
These kind of questions, short and precise, bearing in mind the time factor, so that at least as many honorable members will be given the opportunity. And the question will have to relate to the statement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Please.
What I'm saying is that this statement is brought before us when we are in the sitting. So therefore, the issue of providing print media and copies for members is not done. So how do you expect to be making corrections when we don't have a blueprint of what we should be discussing? At least that copy would guide you so that you cannot go away from the topic of discussion. But now that no member has a hand or lay hand on the document, so we might be prolonging questions or giving questions that might go outside the statement.
Use that word. They need to ask. If you don't have a question, then let somebody else, please. Go ahead.
Yes. I want to raise a point of a motion. I want to raise a motion.
There's a motion on the floor already, Honorable.
No, we are not allowing the motion. Please, we are not allowing the motion. Opanyomi, a question for the Honorable Minister on the statement that he has delivered. Okay, it's being circulated.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As stated by the Honorable Minister of Finance, he said if COVID-19 is not contained within 3 months, thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. As it's been said by the Honorable Minister of Finance, he said if the COVID-19 is not contained within 3 months, will cause a revenue loss to this country over $1 billion, which is almost 1 month collection of the GRA revenue. I want to ask him, what measures are they putting in place to mitigate that gap. Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, I withdraw. It's like the question, this was the question I wanted to ask.
Thank you very much. Latikunda Sabiji. Latikunda Sabiji? No, okay, thank you.
When is it possible for him to do the delivery? Number two, we have seen the impact, as he says, on the coronavirus, on the economy. The question is, are there any commitment made by the development partners in order to cushion the tragedy that is envisaged? Thank you.
Questions?
I withdraw the same question.
Andali? She's out. Councillor?
Equally, Honorable Speaker, I decide to withdraw.
Much, Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Minister said because of this coronavirus, we are expected to, the economy is expected to slow down 3% a point lower than the initial estimated 6.3, which also translates to 1 billion. I want the Honorable Minister to tell Gambians what does this translate to? Meaning, what should Gambians expect so that they can get prepared for the impact? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Emma South.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, at the tail end of your statement, the last paragraph, over the estimated impact of COVID-19 on the Gambian economy is estimated to result in a budget financing gap of 2.5 billion. What other strategies or other alternatives are in place as a government in order to bridge the financing gap to make the budget a realistic budget? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want the Honorable Minister to explain further to us on paragraph 3, which states, as global supply remains constant due to a close down of factories in China, Europe, and Middle East, international trade taxes and domestic supply for basic commodities would also experience short-term adverse shocks, thus posing risk of price hikes. Presently, the price hikes in the country is very high. We are almost 3 weeks to the Ramadan. What is the ministry going to do to ensure that there is not such unnecessary price hikes for the relevant institutions and agencies, especially our poor farmers?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. My question basically is about the percentage that the minister has actually estimated that the expected growth is 6.3%, but with this COVID-19, it's expected to go down by 3%, which is almost 50% reduction in a month, and which I really find really extremely high. Because if it's only like an issue of 1 month or 2 months, and then your total is actually, I really need to get more clarification on that. Because from 6.3 revenue growth estimate to 3 decline by 3%, which is almost 50%.
Honorable, remember that we have a time frame, so why don't you ask a direct question?
Yeah, I want to get clarification on that, because that is almost about 50% decline in the revenue, yeah. So that's why I want to get more clarification on that. Thank you.
The reason being, I want to give as many honorable members the opportunity to ask. Woolley, no, it wasn't Woolley, sorry, Upper Fuladu. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Minister, for this timely information. This is what we expect. However, you have specifically mentioned some of the mechanisms you have put in place or measures you put in place to address this pandemic. One in particular, you said on the fourth paragraph that on net domestic borrowing, in the absence of stricter expenditure control and rationalization, the NDP will expand from 1.9% to 2.5% of the GDP. You said as a result, this will reduce the gains and the consolidations of efforts in creating the space needed for the private sector to borrow to support growth. Apart from this, is there any more stimulus packages that you have for the private sector in terms of tax breaks, especially also for citizens, because this is a difficult moment for everyone, not only for government. But I think the more money people can keep in their pockets, the more they will be able to actually prepare themselves for this pandemic. So is there any other packages that you have in hand?
Thank you. Member Woolley West.
Madam Speaker, two factors are militating to impact negatively on the growth of the economy. One is external, which is probably beyond our control, and the other one is internal. What is the nature of the internal one, and what measures have been taken to address them?
Bakau.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, you've indicated that it is estimated that close to 1 billion will be lost in revenue for the year, equivalent to 1 month of GRA revenue collection in 2020. My question is, what factors have you considered in arriving at this stage? At this estimate, please.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Nyamina East.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, I skipped your name.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, your studies revealed that there will be a serious negative impact on the economy as a result of COVID-19. Precisely, could you tell us the areas in which the lost amount stated or percentage stated will damage or will actually affect the approved budget 2020, because this is something that has already been approved. So having this not realized, what are some of the items or areas that this might affect in the long run in the budget 2020?
Thank you. Nominated member, Honorable Yakumba.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, you have gauged your loss impact if this COVID-19 is not contained. I just want to ask, has there been any request or have you made any emergency resource allocation to the Ministry of Health to help them contain this virus?
For Busumbala.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, your final paragraph says, finally, in order to mitigate this effect, stricter expenditure control planning, you go on. I want to know what sort of practical stricter expenditure planning do we expect from the Ministry of Finance or from the activity of the government in order for us to be able to mitigate, as you said. I want to know the practical stricter planning expenditures.
It's just Joshua, no?
Or is Joshua?
We are both inclusive. Honorable Minister, in your statement you did mention that it is estimated that there would be, the revenue loss is around $1 billion, but yet you have this thing, you've gone further to, as a solution, you are expecting the not domestic borrowing to also widen up, necessitating widening the budget deficit. I'm saying as a simplistic economist, don't you think the quickest answer is, since revenue is expected to decrease by 1 billion, why don't you just go and cut your expected expenditure by 1 billion so as not to widen the gap, not to go and borrow from the domestic market? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think this was not part of the presentation, but we worked over the weekend and we burned the midnight candles. But it is just zero draft, I can put it. It is a preliminary assessment. There is nothing actual here. Our responsibility is to make sure we prepare Gambians that we are price takers, we are a small economy, we are vulnerable. The exogenous shocks, we don't have control over it, but the endogenous ones that they are local, we do have control. That is why immediately the President of the Republic placed a travel ban, and that expenditure on that side will definitely make savings. In addition to that, if we have to cut down the expenditure by 1 billion, we have to make sure that the health sector is not affected. What we have been doing is to make sure now the definition of what you want and what you need. What we are providing for right now is what we need. The luxury items and other things that we can forgo without impacting on our daily lives. That's exactly what we are doing. When we are working closely with the health ministry, and they have requested for 6 million initially, and we have given them 4. The reason why we're doing this is again by way of making sure that despite the crisis, the strict fiscal discipline must be ensured. We have to make sure that whatever resources we release, we monitor all the way to make sure the proper procurement is done and the actual products, without compromising the quality, is also purchased. These are issues that we are very, very sensitive to. And this is not a Ministry of Finance issue. I think we're all in this. And that's why I decided to present it. They are very preliminary. So if I tell you that this is what is going to happen in the next week or so, I cannot. With respect to the issues that have been raised on price hike, here we're predicting if in the event there is scarcity. Of course, without the necessary price control, there will be price hike. But it is also our responsibility. We are working with the trade minister to make sure that the private sector, through monetary policy adjustment, they will be able to, in order to cushion, the CBG will loosen up at least monetary policy just to make sure resources are available for the private sector, to the private sector. The strategies that we have taken so far is not only about the Ministry of Finance. I think we have involved the entire country, both public and private sector, and the President of the Republic is taking a lead in this. That's why the measures that we have taken so far is specifically directed to the operations of the government, and that's the central government. The travel bans, and to make sure that the purchase of luxury items are also not a priority. For the international community, yes, we have been having conference calls. So far, 62 billion have already been pledged. And from our side, we are working closely with both the IMF and the World Bank, and the assessment that we are going to make to formally make the request for assistance is still not completed. We are hoping that we have gone very far, almost 80%, to ensure that everything is factored in. We don't want to be caught in a situation where tomorrow we will request for something without realizing that the day after things have also changed. So it's a very tricky situation. What we have presented today, again, I said it is preliminary, and I am hoping that during the session we will also be requesting on an emergency to come back to the National Assembly to make sure we will be doing the updating periodically to make sure that maybe in the event we need adjustment in the budget, we'll be able to do that. But for the time being, we are able to take care of the operations of government, salaries, be 100% sure that will be paid, travels have been banned, and other luxury items. So we'll be making gains on that, and the impact, broadly, we've already mentioned, it will have severe impact on tourism, remittance, and construction, and other service sectors. I think those are the things that we feel that we should concentrate us on. We cannot just go broad. We have to be very surgical in our approach. We make sure that, especially when we talk about health, when we talk about agriculture, when we talk about education, these are the areas that we are focusing. But currently, the focus is on health. And we are ready to make sure the resources that they requested will be provided for. Those are the things that I thought that basically, those are the things. I'll stand in the event I miss any of the questions. But again, it's a preliminary assessment. We're hoping that maybe next week, same time, if we are summoned, we will come back. But the figures, we have a model that we are working on. And this model, it's not like they are 100% accurate. No. It's based on the model we have, given our economic situation and what we are seeing that is happening globally. So it is based on that. That's why we have this preliminary assessment. I hope, Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Finance did not do the wrong thing by making sure that we came before the health ministry, because we just wanted to make sure we use this opportunity, because I think the immediate impact really is economics, and we wanted to make sure that we provide the information to this National Assembly, so that we don't want tomorrow to say, why were you waiting, instead of coming to us. So these are the issues that is high on our agenda. But internally, we talk about fiscal discipline. I think the discipline that we will be going through during the next few weeks will be very, 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 very strict. So those are the assurance that I wanted to give to the Gambians, and to request for understanding and patience from everyone, including the National Assembly.
We have not exhausted, right? Yeah, we still have time. Then secondly, fortunately, we've confirmed about 4 or 5 minutes ago with the Honorable Minister of Health that he will come at 2:30. But I would suggest that we wait for the presence of the Minister himself before the Health Committee gives its report, so that we will coordinate. But as I said, we still have time within the hour for additional questions on this statement. Pardon? But if there are...
We just want to be very cautious that every figure and information we are providing will tell you that it is not 100% accurate. Our responsibility is to make sure when we come to the National Assembly, we do everything possible to give you the correct figures. But we will try, we'll exhaust every avenue to make sure before the end of this session, all the information that you requested, including the actuals, will be provided.
Honorable Minister, with all due respect, every time issues are raised, they will be, I wouldn't want to say excused, but will be informed that we are migrating from 8 to 9, 9 to 10. Every time it's migration. I don't know when this migration will be completed. And I hope it's not just a tool that is being used. I don't know. I'm a lay person as far as these things are concerned, but I just observe that every time it's from one epicore to the other. 9 to 10 or 8 to 9 or whatever. No, Honorable, I think you have had enough of the sharing. Let's allow Honorable Member for
Honorable Speaker, please, I want clarification, please.
No, I said I think you have had enough.
It was a different thing.
With all due respect, please, can we also respect the chair? Kunda, thank you.
I want clarification.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, Honorable Speaker, my question was not answered. I want the Honorable Minister to tell Gambians what they should expect. I think it is the responsibility of the government so that Gambians can brace up, so that they will be able to expect what
Please, can we allow the honorable member to land? Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, he said the percentage point is expected to low 3%. This is massive in terms of economy, and we are expecting some difficult times, economical difficult times ahead of us. So I think it will be fair enough for Gambians to know what they should expect so that they can brace up. Do you understand, Honorable Minister? What I'm,
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Madam Speaker, can the Honorable Minister inform us so far since the outbreak of this pandemic disease, how much have they invested? Can you inform the House about how much you have invested as far as preparedness is concerned?
No, I will temporarily disallow that question for the Honorable Minister of Health. No, I think it's the Honorable Minister of Health who can respond to that.
No, Finance can do.
Yes.
Since they are the
Honorable Member for Fonyi Brevet, please.
Well, Speaker, according to the Minister's speech, the COVID-19 effect will cause the government a 2.5 billion budget deficit. And in order to mitigate that, one of the mechanisms would be to employ stricter financial expenditure. Besides that, what other mechanisms do you have to fill the said gap?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Minister's response, since it's an emergency situation, he said the Ministry of Health requested $6 million, and the Ministry of Finance was able to give the Ministry of Health $4 million. And this is not within the approved budget. Where do you get that money from? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Can you respond, please?
Thank you very much. I think for Fonyi Brevet, I said we are a small, vulnerable economy. The internal shocks we should be able to contain and through fiscal and monetary. And I've said that through loosening monetary policies, more resources will be made available for the private sector. For central government, as I said, I will repeat that with the strong and strict fiscal policies, we should be able to contain and to be able to finance this gap. In the event there is something that we did not anticipate, of course, we always have a room to maneuver with the partners that are coming to support us. We are confident that we should be able to address it. For the money that we are giving is within allocation. That we look at we also have reserves that we can always make available for expenditure. That is why when they requested for the 6, what we have available then was for within the expenditure for that budget line item is more than that. What we are giving them the 4, but let me just assure you that reallocation within the sector itself is possible and that is legal. We should be able to via from one to the other to be able to make it available. But we have not busted the ceiling. If we have to, we will respectfully come back to the House to request for supplementary appropriation.
Thank you. I'll take the last one. Honorable Member for Ilyasa. Your tag has been...
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, before the virus, whereas there are heavy taxes are imposed on certain goods at the customer, which delays some of the customers they didn't import. Thank you.
I think with all due respect, what has been happening is that no duties or levies have been increased. I think what is happening is more of proper assessment. I think the Asikuda wall that has now been executed by the GRA, the proper assessment, even if you undervalue your container, there is a method they use to make sure that you cannot go beyond this. I think the reality is that if you have a container that you are paying maybe $2,000 $50,000, and with the proper assessment, they realize that you should be paying $75,000. This is what is happening. It's about proper assessment, investigation being done. There has been tax evasion. There has been a wrong declaration of the items, and now with the scanning machine and with the proper assessment, all that I can tell you, no duties have been raised or levies. They are doing their job, and I believe that the proper assessment, that's what has really increased the amount of taxes that they've been paying. We have investigated. It has been brought to our attention by the private sector, and we will be able to confirm that they haven't raised any duties or taxes.
Thank you very much, Mr., for the statement that you have delivered as per the standing orders, and also the responses that you have given to the various questions posed by honorable members. I know the hour has not yet elapsed, but in view of other businesses that we have to do, I'm using my discretion and in the absence of any other questions so that we can proceed with our agenda on our order paper.